Hey, 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 yeah, 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 hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, 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 yeah, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, 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 yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, hey, hey ya, hey ya, ya, hey ya, ya, hey, 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 ya, 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 hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey, hey, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ya, hey ya, hey, 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 hey ya, hey, 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 yeah, 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 hey, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, 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 yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, 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 yeah, yeah, hey, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah. Hey, hi, yo, hey, yo, hey, 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 yo, hey, hi, hey, 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 hi, yo, hey, 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 hi, hey, hey, hi, hey, hey, hi, hey, hi, yo, hey, yo, hey, 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 yo.
Thank you so much. That was a beautiful opening, and I would say particularly meaningful to watch the children with your opening ceremony, so thank you. Better put my glasses on for this, and apologies to my back to the one of the cameras. Good morning, Kwe. My name's Laura Stambra, and I am Vice President of Student Services here at Algonquin College. And as guests, Algonquin College acknowledges that today's event is taking place on the traditional, unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin people. We are honored to gather here today, and we thank all our generations of Anishinaabe Algonquin people who have and continue to take care of this beautiful land. Tomorrow is the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. And today, we take pride in our commitment to making Indigenous knowledge, truth, and reconciliation an integral part of our college's culture. Not only today, this week, but every day. The residential school system was a blight on our country's history, and we grieve for those who were mistreated and lost their lives in what was supposed to be a place of safety and learning. We gather today in somber recognition of this and as part of our continuing journey towards reconciliation. Reconciliation takes many shapes and forms. For us here at Algonquin College, that means supporting and implementing recommendations from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. It means empowering our faculty to incorporate Indigenous pedagogy and ways of knowing into our curriculum design with the assistance of 2 Indigenous pedagogy curriculum consultants. It means raising awareness in small ways, like lighting up our ARC pedestrian bridge with orange lights and repainting crosswalks with orange stripes. We hope when individuals see these symbols, they think about what they can do in their own personal journeys towards truth and reconciliation. It is now my pleasure to introduce our President and CEO, Claude Brûlé, to say a few words. Claude.
Thank you very much, Laura. And thank you very much for being here this morning. Thank you to elected officials who are here as well this morning. Anita Vandenbell, our MP for Ottawa West Nepean, and Lane Johnson, City Councillor for College Ward. So interactive this morning with the wee ones. It's a privilege for me to be here as we come together in a public commemoration of the tragic and painful history and the ongoing impact of the legacy of the residential schools. Thank you for everyone who is wearing an orange shirt today in recognition of Orange Shirt Day to symbolize that every child matters. I'm going to walk around a little bit and turn around so that I'm not facing one particular group this morning, because I'm mindful that we are in a circle today. And today is a time to mourn, a time to reflect, and importantly, a time to learn and recommit to answering the calls to action from the 2015 Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada report. Algonquin College recognizes and appreciates the historic connection of Indigenous peoples to this place, in particular the Anishinaabe Algonquins. And we also recognize the enormous contribution that First Nation, Inuit, and Métis have made and continue to make to shape and strengthen this community. Our golden intent is clear. We are committed to listen, to acquire, and share Indigenous knowledge with our learners. Many young children at residential schools never had a future. Last year, we honored them by commissioning a sculpture, a permanent installation right here in Ishkodawin as a reminder to remember the children. I encourage you to take a moment and visit it outside Ishkodawin in our courtyard here. It serves as a powerful reminder of the lives lost, the trauma inflicted, the potential unfilled, and the dreams that were never realized. So today we honor and remember the children that never returned home, and the survivors, their families, and the communities that have been deeply traumatized by the generational impact. Our commitment to paying our respects and learning the stories of the past, along with the ongoing impact of residential schools, is, as I said earlier, a vital component of the reconciliation process. We must show empathy and understanding, acknowledge the anguish and the magnitude of the loss and the trauma. We must reflect on what it means for our collective past, present, and future, so that we can do better together. By facing these realities head-on, we can use this moment as a bridge towards truth and reconciliation, both within our campus communities and in the broader communities that we serve. Through our continued action and with a good mind, we hope to honor these children who never had a future. I would like to now call upon Michael Deshotel, Indigenous Knowledge Keeper, to come forward and share a story with the young friends that we have here gathered this morning. Thank you very much, Michael.
I've got a...
Oh, you've got it, okay.
I got a thing. Hello, everybody. I want to tell you how happy I am to see all your bright, shiny faces this morning and to hear you sing And we had a drummer over here earlier. It was so pleasant to watch. So you might be wondering, what are we doing here? Why are all these people here, and why are we wearing these orange shirts? I don't quite understand why, what's going on. Well, I'll tell you a few little stories, and then maybe I'll help you to understand why we're here. We're actually here because of you. Because the little people in our lives are the most precious. And you help us remember every day about one of the 7 teachings, the 7 grandfather teachings that I'll talk about throughout my presentation today. But that is love. Love is one of the greatest teachings that we have. So, who do you love? Pardon me? Nina? Oh, that's good. And how about you? Who do you love? Do you love your parents? Do you think they love you? They sure do. They love you an awful lot. And they're very happy that you get to come here into this space to help you grow and help you learn things. But now, I'm going to get sad for a little bit, but it won't last too long. It'll get better. But there was, well, let me back up a little bit. First of all, I'm an Indigenous man. I'm Métis with Ojibwe heritage, and I come from Manitoba, which is a province 1,000 miles away. Indigenous people, Indigenous is, of the land, because we are defined by the special relationship we have with the earth and how important it is for all of us. But I digress. And it's funny that we're in this hallway called the Makwa Pathway, because I was given a spirit name by an elder from Kitigan Zibi, who, after I've been working with her for about 10 years, and she said, it came to me in a dream the other day. She says, I have a spirit name for you, and it's Mashkiki Makwa, which means medicine bear, because I've spent most of my adult life doing this kind of work, educating folks in the classroom about the trials and tribulations that Indigenous people have gone through. So, and there's a polar bear up there. Not a polar bear, that's a polar bear. That's a buffalo. I could usually tell them apart. But so you see, you're probably also wondering, why am I wearing this shirt? What's this shirt all about? Well, this is a ribbon shirt, and we generally wear it to ceremonies of different kind that we celebrate, whether it be a pipe ceremony, or a smudging ceremony, a naming ceremony, a feast. And one of the reasons we started with the fringes is because back in the day, we didn't have stores to go to buy our clothes. We had to make all of our clothes, and we would include fringes on them because when they get wet, instead of your whole shirt being soaked, it would just be the fringes. And so it would dry quicker, and you wouldn't be uncomfortable. It's also, more importantly, it connects us to the earth. All of our energy and emotions that we need to shred get returned back to the earth through the fringes in our shirt. Now, my shirt has a buffalo on it, that one, a buffalo on it because it's where I come from, where my family comes from. They hunted buffalo and survived on buffalo. Buffalo provided most of the food, most of the clothing, and everything you needed to survive. So it's a very special animal for Métis people, and so this is why I have this on my shirt. Where am I going now? Okay, so here's the sad part. So about just over 100 years ago, some people decided that Indigenous people like me should be not educated by their parents or in their community by other Indigenous people, that they should be educated by people who spoke a different language, by people who had a different way of life, people who didn't have long hair. You see a lot of indigenous people wear their hair long. Again, it's just similar to the fringes. It connects us and our energy back to the earth. So what they did was little kids like your age, they took them from their parents' house and they made them go to school that was often far away. And people weren't always nice to those kids in that school. And so the parents, they would, of course, be very upset, just like your parents would be if somebody took you away to a school and you never got to see your parents for a long time. And so why we're here today is to remember that happened. For over 100 years, that happened to Indigenous children. And now we know that it was wrong. Nobody knew too much about it until just the last 10 or 15 years when people started to talk more. And some of those kids got really sick at those schools and they didn't come home. So why we're here today is to remember them. Remember what happened and remember and commit ourselves, as Claude said, to never forget. So I'll tell you a little story about myself. Like I said, I was born in Winnipeg and Manitoba. And right when I was brand new, somebody at the hospital talked to my mom and told her that they didn't think she was able to raise me. So they took me away from my mom, and I went and I lived with people I didn't know, people who weren't Indigenous. And so I never got to grow up to meet the rest of my family. Just until about 5 years ago, I found my birth mother and my 4 siblings. And it was the start of a great connection and a great act of reconciliation in itself. But for 50 years, I didn't know them. And so that's a little bit sad. But I'm lucky, at least I went to a home where, you know, people loved me as best as they could. They weren't mean to me, and they didn't scare me. But it's not the same when you grow up with your own parents. It's different. So that's why we're wearing the shirts. We're going to remember those children. And it's not just the children we have to think about. I've shared this story at other Algonquin events, but I want to share it again because it's really poignant and it really, I think, hits home when we think about this. Because we can't just, you know, it's easy to talk about numbers, you know, the almost 10,000 graves that have been found in different schools, the sadness and the horror is too much for us to comprehend sometimes. But it's not just the kids. You know, it's the parents whose hearts were broken. Like, can you imagine, and this happened at some of these residential schools, the kids were inside the school just like you are, and the parents had a teepee outside the schoolyard just so they could look at their kids. They didn't even get to talk to them, but they missed them and loved them so much that they stayed in a teepee outside the school just so they'd have a chance to see their kids. So I didn't go to residential school. I was lucky. But I want to share with you a story that I learned from, Murray, you know him. Murray Sinclair, who many of you know was the chair of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And he was in a room, about this number of people in it. And he said, and I'd like you to do this too. Go into your phone and pull out a photo. Look for a photo of a 6-year-old. And they don't have to be 6-year-old now, but think about somebody, look at a photo of somebody when they were that age. And I'd like you to think about a few things, he said. He said, I want you to think about what is it about that person you love? What is it about that person that makes you so very proud? What is it about that person that makes them so special in your life? So look at those pictures And now hit delete. Don't really, but just pretend. And that is essentially the truth of what happened to so many parents who lost their babies. So I said it was going to get better. It will, honest, because reconciliation means, trying to fix things. There was a lot of things that didn't go very well for Indigenous people over the last 600 years, and more people are starting to realize and recognize that it's time to change. And as Claude said, it's incumbent on all of us, settlers, Indigenous people, for us to share our experiences and for you to learn from them. And if I could just drop a quick plug for a couple of books. Like I said earlier, the figures and the numbers are one thing, but I always think it's important when you're talking to people to get them where they live. And so there's a couple of books that I've read in the last year or so. One is called Five Little Indians, and another one is called The Break by a woman named Kathleen Vermette, who comes from Winnipeg, where I come from. And these go into the details about what happened to residential school survivors and their families as they moved through the world, as they grew up, and as they became just so rigidly traumatized by their experience. And it's really, to see that human face and to see the amount of pain and hurt that people have lived through is reason for us to gather here to remember. But where one thing is, and I'm very quick, I'll just wrap up by sharing with you those 7 grandfather teachings that are so important. The first one, of course, is love. And you know who you have to love first and you have to love the most? Yourself. You have to love your own self before you can love somebody else. And so you can find love in all sorts of ways, with each other, with your friends, with your parents, with your pets, if you have any. For Indigenous people, one of the things that love teaches us is that leads me into another one of the teachings, and that's respect. Respect means that we care not just for our people close to us, but we care for everybody. And that we respect everything that's on this earth, the plants, the animals, the insects. All of us are no different, which is another teaching with humility. I'm not better than a squirrel outside walking around, and that squirrel's no better than me. We are dependent. All of us are dependent and codependent on each other as we move through this world. So that's a couple of the lessons that we use to guide our thoughts and actions. Another one is bravery. Sometimes it's hard to do the right thing. Sometimes, it might cause a lot of work to do the right thing, but we have to do it. Another teaching is honesty. Do you ever hear the story of the little boy who cried wolf? So one day there's this little boy, I think he looked a little bit like you. And he was outside and he wanted to play a trick on his dad. So he said, "Daddy, there's a wolf. He's coming to get me. There's a wolf. He's coming to eat me, Daddy." So the daddy comes running out and he goes after her. He looks around. There's no wolf here. "Ah, Daddy, just kidding, just kidding, just kidding." Next day, little boy goes, "Daddy, Daddy, this time for real, there's a wolf out here." Dad comes running. "There's no wolf. What's going on? There's no wolf." So the third time, 3 days later, the little boy does it again. This time he calls his other dad. "Dad, there's a wolf. He's coming to get me." and the two dads had had a conversation before. And the other one, when he heard the boy calling, he didn't respond. He didn't go check and see if there was a wolf, because he had lied 3 times already now. He'd lied that there was a wolf there. So if you want people to believe you, you have to tell the truth, which is honesty, which is another one of the 7 sacred teachings. Okay, so I guess just to close, I want to thank all of you, and I want to thank Algonquin College, as Claude so eloquently talked about the mission of the college in terms of bringing reconciliation to reality, and making an Indigenous experience one for all of the staff, faculty, and students who come to this school, so that we can begin to decolonize and we begin to walk down that path of reconciliation together. Chi miigwech.
Michael, I don't know if that was the wolf story, but someone is a little cringy here, which is a good time to wrap up. So I'm going to talk to the little ones for a minute. How was the story? Did you enjoy the story? Was it a good story? Yeah. It's about making sure you love yourself, and then you love your parents because you know they love you, right? And we want to learn from the history so that we don't repeat it, right? So it's so important for us to understand the truth so that we can get to reconciliation. And I'm thankful that we had Michael Deshotel this morning as our Indigenous knowledge keeper to share some of the knowledge and some of those Indigenous teaching for us to take in our heart. So thank you very much for attending this morning. We have a host of other events going on throughout the day in recognition of National Day of Truth and Reconciliations, which is tomorrow. But because tomorrow we're not as open as we are today, it was important for us to be able to use the day where we have a lot of people on campus, both employees and students, to create that awareness. So thank you very much, and wish you have a good day and a good mind. Thank you.
Yeah.